to welcome you to my YouTube channel. My name is Poetavango and I'm really excited to be with you today, and I just want to thank you so much for joining me, and I'm super thrilled to have today on my channel a very wonderful man. I could go on and on and on and on, but I think it's best that I let him introduce himself. So, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much.
I'm great, thank you. If you could just briefly introduce yourself and tell us, if you can, what it is that you do.
Well, my name is I'm also known as DreddX in the art circles. I'm a writer, I'm a performer, I'm a poet, I'm an artist. Yeah, so I think that's about it. If you need further elaboration.
Yeah, you are an overall creative, that much I know for sure. Yeah. Just maybe give a brief background into your art and how you discovered that.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me first point out that my primary form of art expression is writing. That's where I began. I can say it's something that I discovered while I was still growing up. You know, when I was still in secondary school, I realized that I loved to write. Actually, I loved to read first, you know, and then later on I discovered that I could also do a little bit of writing. And that's where it started. I really wanted to see myself as a writer. So therefore I had to pursue that avenue. And as I began to ground my feet, you know, in the writing fraternity, I also realized that I do have other, could I say, maybe talents, you know, or maybe I can say art evolved within me, and then I began to also venture into other art creating forms, you know, like for instance, poetry and writing is the same thing basically, you know. And when I say I'm a writer, I mean writing prose most of the times, you know. And later on I discovered that I could also perform poetry, you know, write and perform poetry. And so I included into my bandwagon of artistic performance poetry. And I studied visual arts as well. So which means I can draw, I can paint, I can do graphics and stuff like that. And as I explored my arts, I realized that, you know, as an artist like myself, it bends inside you all the time, you know, to see yourself create in different avenues. Sometimes they say it's best to focus, you know, on one area so that you don't become a jack of all trades. You know, I don't do that, you know.
You don't do what?
I don't avoid to be a jack of all trades.
Okay.
You know, I'm always challenged by new art creating avenues, you know. I look at different art forms and I get interested in them, you know. When I look at a good movie, you know, I'm like, wow, the creators of this movie, how did they do this?
Yeah,
you know?
and you're intrigued.
The angles and the videography and the cinematography and all, and I want to venture into that. You see? So I always see something good, I feel like I want to do this as well, because I think creating art is very, very enjoyable. It satisfies, you know, it fulfills me. So I kind of like don't want to get bored in just following one path, you know. So there's always this thing in me that says, try something new, try something new, try
That's
something.
really incredible. I like that you just go against the grain of normalcy, you know, because sometimes you just tend to go like herds and just like follow the same message, but you just sat there and said, you know what, this doesn't apply to me.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you just really, and I'm you know, just so honored to have you here, because, you know, I know that you're the one who's normally behind the camera actually, so you know, you're actually telling the truth when you say that, you know, you do explore everything. And I've got a confession to make actually. I forget that you're a visual artist. You know, not because you know, but because I know you more prominently for other things. But I know that, you know, you as a visual artist, you're actually, you know, you're an educator.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I studied fine arts, and I teach art in a high school right now. Well, I think one of the things that actually make people kind of like forget that I'm a visual artist is I think I'm the cause for that as well because I don't express myself much in that avenue. I think one thing that makes it to be like that is the fact that I'm an art teacher, and so therefore I spend most of my time, you know, from mornings to late afternoons with students, you know, showing them this and that, and as a result, my practice of visual arts is mostly within the classroom, you know, trying to nurture these young ones.
Yeah.
And when I step out of the classroom, now there's this burning desire for me to venture into something different. You know, I write, I create poetry, I do graphics, I do videos and stuff like that, because the visual arts, I would have done them during the day. So therefore, that in a way prevented me to express myself more, you know, in the visual arts area. So I think that's what causes that. But what I've realized is writing, it's fundamental for me. I think it's whatever art forms I venture into, I realize that there's a foundation of writing, you know. Even if you get into movie making, film making, video shooting, whatever, there's still a little bit of writing involved in everything.
That's right.
So hence I can confidently say that that is perhaps my major, you know, path. You know, all these other ones I keep on branching from writing, doing this, but I always go back to it, you know. And if I spend a lot of time not writing, you know, there's something that happens in me that says you lack something.
Yeah.
You know, there's something that you should be doing which you are not doing.
That's deep.
Yeah, it takes me back to that.
Snapping my fingers, boy, as they do in poetry circles. You know, but Dredd, did you always know that you had these gifts in you, or you know, did you just sort of like discover them along the way? And how did you know that you've discovered them?
I didn't always know that. Like I said, I loved to write to read from a younger age. When I was at school, senior secondary school, I read a lot of books, fiction and non-fiction. And I remember that even in my class, we were allowed to borrow only one book from the library per student.
That sounds like torture.
Yes, one book per week.
Yeah. Okay,
week,
that's
you know,
reasonable.
In the next session of the library, that's when you can get another one. So you can't get out of the library with 2 books or so. But now there were a lot of other students who just took books and they were not going to read them.
Yeah.
So I realized that because whenever I borrow a book, I finish it in 2 days or 3. You know. So what I would do, I would speak with a couple or 3 other students, and then they would take books on my behalf, so that I would read those books the moment I finished that.
Yeah.
So that's how hungry I was for reading. And I remember that every time there were a couple or 3 or even more than that students who, whenever I read a story, I would now tell the story to them. You know, like I would speak out the story.
Yeah, you become a storyteller.
I become a storyteller. Such it came to a point whereby even before I finished a chapter, they would ask me, so what happened? you know, I have to read a chapter and then tell to them just like that.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
When I look back, you know, many years later, I was like, perhaps that was a sign that I can tell stories. You know, so by doing this, by reading stories and telling them, you get to learn a lot in terms of, you know, writing and plotting and storytelling and all that. So as a result, I was like, I think I too can do this. I realized that even when I wrote compositions, my teachers always said to me that you write very long stories. You know, you go beyond the limit.
Yeah.
But the one thing that was different with me was that the teacher could not just cross everything that comes after the word limit. So they said, the reason we don't cross it down is because whatever you have written is engaging, you know, so do something about this. So when I went to university later on, that's when I took my chances, you know, and said, you know what, let me see if I can actually venture into this professionally. You know, that's when I started to want to get published, but it wasn't easy. You know, getting published, you had to really be resilient and try despite how many times you are going to fail.
Yeah.
So that's the journey. I think that's a story for another day. The challenges of getting.
I would love to hear that. We're gonna have you back here again, God willing.
Thank you.
So, Dredd, now let's talk about Poetavango. You know, such a beautiful initiative that a lot of people know about, but also some, you know, I think it would do them good to know about Poetavango.
Yes, thank you very much. Poetavango is an organization that we started in 2008. Yeah, and we started this organization first as a poetry movement, you know, as a poetry collective. Because a couple of us, or maybe 3 of us, when we started it, we realized that in Maung, where we live, there weren't any platforms, you know, where one could actually express themselves poetically and also get to involve the community to know what poetry is and what benefits it can be to them. So we weren't sure actually when we started whether it's something that could be appreciated in our environment, because nothing like it has ever happened before. So we took our chances, and luckily we realized that people loved it.
Yeah.
You know, when we started in 2008, we had an audience of about 21 people and 3 performers.
Okay.
So that was a success for us, you know, and it showed by the support of the people who came that they wanted this to be regular. And we started the regular monthly poetry sessions.
Yeah.
And then ultimately we registered the organization. And then over the years we saw, you know, a lot of other writers, other poets coming over to join, you know, and the audience growing bigger and bigger. And then the needs and the you know, the hunger of the people wanting more became too much for us, because we couldn't, you know, satisfy what the audience wanted. They wanted to see a lot more.
Because y'all was so good.
Yeah, so we were kind of like overwhelmed. You know, what could we do? And that was how we started the first poetry festival in 2011.
Yeah.
So we need to bring people in to help us satisfy these people's hunger.
Because one day is not enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
And even just us is not enough. Let the people experience what other poets, other writers out there have. And that could also, one way or the other, help us grow, you know, as local poets, local artists.
Just quickly going into that, are you talking about, you know, the artists behind Poetavango? Because I know that there's quite a diversity of them. You know, what really is the criteria? You know, is it, you know, strictly professional people? You know, you need to have made it, you know, to a certain, you know, level in terms of, you know, your creative field and so on and so forth, or, you know, you just embrace everybody, you know, people who are growing. What really is the criteria for people who are a part of the collective?
Right. The main mandate of the collective is to help artists grow, you know, professionally, their skills, you know, and be competitive globally.
Yeah.
And it would not serve the purpose if we only focused on already established writers.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's open to people who are just starting, or people who are interested to know about this art form, you know, who want to learn, you know, or who just started and they don't have the confidence to move on. So we built this organization to support such kind of people. And then for those who are already at a particular level, they are also welcome to be part of the organization, because those are the people who will actually even inspire those ones who are starting, and also help the organization have direction one way or the other. So it's a movement that welcomes all. And one thing I should also note right now is we've moved from being just an organization for poets. You know, right now we encompass all arts. You know, like I was saying, especially this came after the transition from the Maui International Poetry Festival to Maui International Arts Festival, where now we realize that poetry alone is not the only expression, only platform that satisfies the people's hunger for the arts. So therefore, we became open to all other art platforms. So that was something that we realized as our journey went over and over and over. So today we are an organization that embraces poetry, creative writing, theater, music, dance, you know, comedy, so anything.
All forms of art.
All forms.
I love it because you know, it's very easy to think, you know, with the name Poetavango, you know, it speaks into the genesis of the organization.
Absolutely.
And I know that maybe it's easy to think, okay, it's strictly poetry.
Yeah.
But I, you know, as somewhat of a creative myself, I do
Yes.
believe that, you know, everything is poetry. You know. Everything is poetry, and so I just love how it has evolved, you know. And speaking of evolution, 2008, so basically Poetavango is a teenager now. Yes.
It is.
And when exactly did Mango International Arts Festival start?
2011.
2011, so 10 years.
10 years.
It's been a decade.
Absolutely.
Wow, and it's been a beautiful decade. What I love is the fact that, you know, in as much as you get your artists to go out, because you've had artists going out, you know, from within the collective, and we'll talk briefly about that as well. But, you know, Maui International Arts Festival has attracted even, you know, people from outside, you know, and that does something even for Maung, that does something for Botswana, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. We live in Maung, the undisputable capital of tourism. So it is also our mandate to push the edge for us to let the people, the world, know that here within this community we have various beautiful cultures.
Yes.
So when people visit, they get to learn about our people. They get to learn about our different cultures. They get to experience, you know, the way we live, the way we speak, you know, the kind of food we eat. So we hold our events such that they expose the people whom we have invited to this, you know, because as much as people know about the wildlife and the delta and the animals and the baskets, we believe that a lot of people don't know about the cultures, you know. And I would say that this region is very rich in culture, and it's therefore important that we are seen to be embracing and holding forth, you know, this culture so that they don't die. You know, we are living at an Asian time whereby now culture is simply, you know, being washed away, and we don't want to see that happening. So if we don't use our platforms, who will? So yeah, Poetavango also try to help in that regard. And like you say, we've also had our people going outside the country. You know, as much as we bring people in, we also send our people out so that they can also see what other people do, for the purposes of also their personal growth, their artistic growth, and also for them to see other events and festivals, how they run, and then they come back and invest here, so that we too can be at a level whereby, you know, we do things in a way that will sustain us. So that's why we send our people out. They've been to the US, they've been to Bulgaria, they've been to Hungary, they've been to different parts of the world, you know, and even in Africa, you know, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, we've sent people there. And the results of that, I think, they're beginning to show, because if you were going to ask me what are the things that we've achieved as an organization, I would say the fact that we are exposing our people outside and then they come back to invest, that has helped us achieve in many ways, you know. So other than the festival, there are other things that we do that were birthed because our people were exposed to such kind of things. For example, we now run an annual literary competition called the Poetavango Award for Short Fiction, you know, which is of course focusing on the short story form of writing. But it's a way of giving our local writers, you know, a podium, a platform, a reason to write, you know, something that can motivate them to keep writing. You know, if it wasn't for Corona, we could have started last year the first Botswana International Poetry Slam Championship, you know, whereby we've tried to link with other African states, you know, because there's the African Slam Championship, and for one to go and perform there, they must have won the national slam in their countries. So we were about to start that first national slam for Botswana, and Corona hit.
And then COVID happened.
You know, that's how bad it was. But yeah, there are quite several events that we are bringing over to push our objectives, and I think I can say so far it's not bad. Poetavango has done quite a few activities, and is known mostly for the Maui International Arts Festival. But we have other activities which were planned because of our exposure to the world. You know, such as the first National Slam Championship, which was supposed to be started in 2020, beginning of 2020. But then unfortunately, COVID hit, you know, and we could not do that. This was an event which would enable whoever was going to win to participate in the African Slam Championship, which quite a number of countries in Africa are taking part of. But for you to be part of it, you must have gone through your National Slam Championship. So Poetavango was going to start that, and then COVID came, and then we couldn't do that. However, we are still hopeful because now we are learning to live with COVID if it doesn't go away altogether. So we are seeing how best we can do that, because it's important that we are part of the African Poetry Network. So that's what we are getting into. And we having realized that we are living at a different time in a different dispensation right now with this disease. We are, this year as we speak, we are starting a residency for writers.
Wow.
Yes, we call it the Poetavango Writers Camp. Yeah, we are hoping that this is going to be, I'm equally excited. We are hoping that this is going to be an annual activity.
Wow.
We are starting small as a camp whereby we are going to take about 20 writers out to a camp.
That's
and
exciting.
I think it is. And we are going to spend an entire week dealing with writing. You know, we are going to give writers the chance to write.
That's
you know,
beautiful.
Absolutely. I think it is.
Speaking of residency, you've gone on a writing residency before. Let's hear about it. That was a great opportunity. And you know, I mean, you came back a changed man. You walked different. I remember when I saw you.
Did I? Okay. Yes. Well, like I said, that a lot of the events that we do were birthed by the fact that we went outside and saw things which we did not have here. Same thing with this writers camp. You know, yes, in 2016 I traveled to the US to the International Writing Program, and that was something that I was very, very grateful for. I did not expect that. It just pounced on me, you know, and I'm happy for it because I met with a lot of writers from different parts of the world, and for 3 months I lived in Iowa, you know, learning and experiencing and being exposed to the writing world, you know, and it is an experience which even to date I can still get over it, because first being nominated for that meant a lot to me, because it's not just, I think it is every writer's wish, because people like Bobesi Haid and Baron Soboni and TJ Dema have been there. Big names have been there. So, but what is very, very important is being in Iowa exposed me to a lot of things, you know, and you know, you get to speak with people who think like you do, you know, and you get to know how they do their things, you know, and then you get to learn. What is important is to learn and to soak in and come and reflect when you get back to your country. So I would say this writing residency, it's one way or the other an inspiration that came from there, you know, that look, these opportunities are not just for everyone. Not everyone gets an opportunity like that one. So why can't we create something of that nature, even though it's in a small scale, just to give our own writers here, you know, that little experience.
Sounds like it's a writer's paradise, just being able to write undisturbed for 3 months.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How long do you plan on, you know, your residency? How long do you plan on it being for?
For now, it's a week's residency.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a week's residency. But since we are beginning, we are hoping that as time goes on, we'll be able to attract enough sponsorship, to extend it to at least a month. So a week is not that bad, because I remember in 2019 I went to Indonesia for another writers resort, for a week, and I think, and I would say that the week in Indonesia was like 5 months to me. The things I learned within that week, and the experience itself. When you get into such kind of things, you come back changed, like you were saying.
Right.
So it's a start.
I'm very excited about it. Hey, that's definitely something to look out for. So now, Dredd, let's talk about someone who's thinking to themselves, you know what? I've been so discouraged about getting into the arts. Maybe my family doesn't understand what exactly it is that I'm doing. Maybe speak to parents whose children are portraying some sort of artistry and creativity, and also someone who wants to grow in their art. What would you advise them in order to be able to nurture that and to keep on growing?
Well, we've heard stories about parents limiting their children, not allowing them to follow paths of art. It's unfortunate, but I believe that in days like these, our parents are no longer as those parents back then. But of course, you never know. So what I would say to parents is, when a child shows a pathway that they want to follow, particularly in the arts, encourage them. Find a way. The least you can do is to encourage. Even if you may not be able to nurture, that, at least just a word of encouragement is enough. We've seen children who were diverted from their path, or the art in their heart, and they end up actually getting into something completely different, and they don't perform well, and they keep on saying that my passion used to be art, or I do art on the side, so those people are not complete in the sense that the child or the adult is not complete, because something that is part of them has been stripped out, and sometimes it still nudges at them, and that on its own makes them less complete. So I would say that let us encourage our children, let us give them the opportunity. I'm very grateful for what the Ministry of Education is coming up with right now, which is called the Multiple Pathways, which is trying to channel children from primary school into their path of interest. Children are no longer going to be doing too many subjects. They're going to be following a particular path. If it's sports, they're going to be doing that. If it's art, they're going to be doing that until they get to Form 5. And no child is going to stop anywhere along the way. There's no child is going to be failing Form 3 or Standard 7. Everyone is going to go up to Form 5, in their path. And I think that's something that we should also encourage as parents, as community leaders, that art is part of the child's heart. So you can't take it out.
Whoa, that's deep, man. Dredd. Always deep. That's also a very exciting development. I love that. Who would have thought that we'd live to see the day, right?
So it's interesting. So to the artists themselves, to the writers, to the painters, to whoever, don't be discouraged. Just do your thing. Enough practice in what you do, enough determination, enough resilience. No matter the obstacles, no matter whatever happens, just follow your path. That is where you're supposed to be. That is your line. That is your duty. That is your direction. So you cannot be diverted by any external forces. It's only you who can divert yourself. So don't let any other external forces to block your way.
Well, Dredd, I know how much of a phenomenal artist you are, phenomenal creative poet. Everything that you touch is just really phenomenal. But I know that someone is probably watching and they're a doubting Thomas. So hit us with a few lines there from one of your poems. It doesn't have to be the whole thing, but just anything that comes to your mind immediately.
Okay.
I love it when I feel so powerful. When it's like she who has the mic has the power. I have the power right now.
Well, I think I'll have to give you an invoice for this because I don't perform my poetry for free.
Oh Lord! All right. I think I'll get support.
Anyways, I'll do something very short, maybe 4 lines or so, because I wasn't prepared for this really. And to take something off your heart, it's not that easy. Like for instance, I haven't performed in a long while. There's a poem which I call "Song of Soil," which is also in my album Poetic Meditations. It's a piece that I love so much because it's the first poem I ever wrote. And that's how much I value it. So it's called "Song of Soil." It goes: one big road with a loss of signs, so life it is as I fail to straighten my lines. All around me nothing seems alive, all children of creation all alike. My vision is but black and white at this time of the night, no neon light. Times come when I wonder why I'm always under the stand of the situation, for never will there be a resolution. No word can say how I feel, for in life I will never pay my bill. At times I wish I were dead, for I can't feed my mouth bread. But more I wish I was never born and my folks couldn't have gone. Standing here in this wilderness, trying to figure out who I really am. The road of my journey is endless, despite my sweat and breathlessness.
You're getting me all excited and then you just kind of stop. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. I really appreciate it. You talked about your album.
Yes.
And you have an album which I have as well.
Thank you.
I love it so much. I love it. It's like one of my favorites. When I just kind of pull it out and have it on my computer. It's such beautiful stuff. And then also you have a book. Just talk briefly about the book and where people can find it.
Yes. Okay. My novel Josie, Josie, was published in 2013 by Black Crate Books, and is currently available at Amazon. You can buy it either as a Kindle version or you can order a hard copy. They can deliver it to your doorstep. So that's the only one that is currently available. The collection of short stories, The Moon Has Eyes and Other Stories, is currently out of print. So unfortunately that one is not accessible right now. But maybe
a plan will be made.
Maybe a plan will be made.
Because the people need to get what DreddX has to offer. Thank you so much, Dredd. I really appreciate you giving me your time and just being here on this channel. And I hope to have you again, sometime in future. I don't know if you're going to send me a quotation or not. So I really appreciate you spending your time here with me today on this channel and just talking about art, something that your heart beats for every day.
I am humbled to be on your channel. Thank you so much to you.
Thank you so much for joining DreddX and I today. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. Do go on ahead and share it. There might be someone who's hanging by a thread, when it comes to their creative side, when it comes to their art, and they're thinking, you know what, I just want to throw in the towel. And this might just be something that they need to hear in order to help them to keep on going. There's a lot happening here in Maung. I think you can hear I'm a bit biased because Maung is home, but there's a lot happening here in Maung. Great stuff through Poetavango. DreddX is doing some really incredible stuff along with, all the people that he works with. And you know what? I trust that you've been as inspired as I have been today. I am Nompendulo Shabangu, also known as Noms, and do go ahead and subscribe. Do like if this actually, touched you. And also let's interact in the comment section. Go ahead and, shower DreddX with those words of encouragement. He's doing such phenomenal stuff and he's one person that I really, really admire. Let's see each other again next time.